This is Necropolis Chain 1 on normal. It looks like my daily dice is available, so I'm going to go ahead and roll that first. Alright. This is Tomb of the Crimson Heart.
The skulls of giants adorn this tangle of roots. The skulls emit a dreadful groan, and the doors around you slide open.
For this quest, you just have to find basically a bunch of runes. I think there's one in the beginning and then there's 3 others. And the easiest way to do this is just keep hitting Q. Of course, you'll find other things too, but if you just keep hitting Q, you'll find it. I usually go around the outer main circle first and then go take any other paths if I have to. Sometimes I'll get lucky and find them on this kind of main path, but not always.
A deep, bone-chilling cold seems to emanate from the north of this room.
Oh, I didn't think I activated that optional, but I guess I did. There's a rune. You can see I hit Q to find it. Got some enemies here, but then I could just click it or press E to use it. There's sometimes a rune here, and there's a trap you have to watch out for. Yeah, these flaming spheres are weird. You could damage them with some weapons. Like, I bet if I use a bow, I can hit it. But you could mostly just ignore them. Have to remember that trap. Alright, so we found 2 of the 3 on the main path, and the other ones we're going to have to go to the side paths to find. As you're walking, just keep pressing the Q button to find any runes that you might have. And you could skip these optionals. I'm going to skip them. Yeah, the reason I like to go on the main path is that you end up having to go there anyways. And typically I'll find 2 to 3 on the main path. And if it's 3, I'm done. And if one's not on the main path, oftentimes I might get lucky and find it on the first side path I take. Yeah, generally you never have to go into the optionals to find it. It's always going to be on the main. It's always going to be in a regular spot.
Magic of the last rune fades, a dry voice whispers from the air. Who dares knock on my door?
And for all these, once you reach the objective, it opens up a room where you basically
feeling
fight
of hate washes over you.
a mummy and then maybe some guardians.
You must be
In this
near
case, it was
the
guardians. And the last quest is a little bit. It's not a mummy. It's a cart.
As the mummy falls, you feel a wave of magic ripple through the crypt.
And when the quest is done, I usually just go into this little passageway here, and then if you just keep following left, you can just get to all the quests by finding the proper quest here on the various tombs.
Strange ripples form on the surface of the fetter.
There's a number of ways to do this. I normally just go left here at that first intersection, and what I found is if I go all the way to the left, all the way to the right, I find 2 of the 3 vessels of faith that we have to find. Not always, but most of the time. Sometimes they kind of wander around. But by going there first, if they start to wander around, sometimes you find them.
The smell of decay bubbles up from the water here. Foul magics are at work in this chamber.
And so it looks like this vessel of faith is kind of wandering around. Usually they'd be right here if they're here. I'd sort of peek up the hallways just to see if there might be one wandering around. Yeah, the traps on each of these sides are pretty deadly, but they're pretty easy to spot. And there's one right there. Like oftentimes you'll find one at each side, and then the other one's kind of wandering around. This time we have one on one side and 2 wandering around, so just look for the others. So once I've checked both sides, I usually just take one of the paths north, I guess. And then it doesn't really matter which one you take. They could be wandering around anywhere, but a lot of times I'll find them in the north. Yep, there's one. So yeah, common scenario is I just there's one on the east side, one on the west side, and then I find the other one kind of wandering around north up here. So when I don't find if there's one missing or two missing from the east to west side, then a lot of times they're just kind of wandering around anywhere. But normally on Reaper, I try to minimize the amount of ground I cover, just because each of these enemies here can spawn a Reaper, and so as you can see, there's quite a few spawns. But if they're not in one of those two first spots I mentioned, usually they do seem to be kind of gravitate to this northern area.
Cultist falls, you hear a voice whisper,
"There it is.
Who dares awaken me?" Your footsteps echo.
Now this final area is kind of like one of those others, the east and west area. On Reaper, I usually like to approach these rooms a little more carefully because of the mobs and the potential for Reapers and champions to overwhelm. But you know, a normal, you know, not much of a challenge there.
Acrid smells of incense and tannin waft in from the chamber wall. The enemy crumbles to ash and dust.
Each of these first four quests has a special ingredient in the chest. This is Ruddy Scarab here, and that's used to upgrade either the Silver Flame trinket or whatever you picked up from the Necropolis quest area. There's two things you can pick up, and you should pick those up before running this quest.
This tomb is well kept despite its age. The books lining the wall, you feel intense cold radiating from a glowing circle. As the flames from the urn subside, the surrounding doors slide open.
Yeah. This one's easier just in the sense that
guttural chatter. A rune-scarred skull
things aren't randomly located, it's always in the same place. So at that first intersection, I put out the flame, as I did, and then I go right, put out the flame, and then I kind of backtrack, and then at that point I just go clockwise around the crypt.
More books line the
Turning
walls
out the lights.
here. Each one written in complex cipher that defies translation.
There's these 3 on the bottom, and then there's 3 more up top. Alright, so the 3 at the top, there's 1 in the center, but the others are in these side rooms here. So if we look on the map, you can see there's a room just south of the main entrance, and then here's this one that we did already. And maybe 1 more room like that we have to get.
Sense the magical barrier to the north fade.
Now this next one can't be soloed with a hireling, so I'm just going to go in to show you. I'm just going to show you and then recall out, but I want you to see the mechanics of this one. It's certainly doable, it's just that alright, so for this section here, we'll need to clear some mobs. And so you can see there's, the way it works is that you have on each side, this is one side, you have to stand here and your hireling has to stand here. So the mob spawn when you come in here, so normally the idea is to close it and then come in. But we can't, so we put Fergus here, for example, and have him stand his ground on there. And so he lit it up. But there's a whole nother side that has to be cleared, which I'm going to go to. Right here. So you can see there's just no way you can do this with one hireling. So I'm gonna do another video where I'm gonna show you how to do it with a second account, with each the main account and then your bank account having it. Now the only catch is that you have to at least have a character that can get this quest, and I'm not sure if that's level 1 or level 2. I think it might be level 2. So you will have to level that character up to level 2 first. So I'm going to do a separate video showing you how to do that. So that's the first 3 quests on normal, and I will show you this one once with a second account.